I have three amazing women, guys. This is beautiful. So one thing that I want to start is thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your lives, sharing your stories. We always say that the collaboration it's part of this project and it's part that you inspire others and you do great things together. So first of all, I want to just give I would like to start giving a great, I'm very grateful for you having been from around the world and come to here because I know that you travel a lot, girls. And I would like to start by giving each of you a space to share with us what you do and how are you currently creating value in society.
Small challenge.
Just a elevator pitch of 1 minute.
Good. See, the women are on time. Let's see. I'll just leap in. These days, I spend a lot of time teaching. It feels like I always taught, but I mostly was mentoring, and now I'm more overtly teaching in universities and in efforts. So I hope that's of value to society. And I don't know if any of you made it to the talk that I did yesterday, but my personal focus is on what I can do to shift the needle to help industries and countries rethink a strategy around climate and how to amplify that by accessing all the excitement around space, how those two can add up to 11. So I hope that is, that's my
She's
effort.
a little bit humble, guys. She's one of the top 50 leaders of NASA around the world. So give her a great applause.
Thank you.
Adriana, tell us about you.
Well, thank you. More down to earth. I work in more for travel experience as in the travel industry, and as you can remember, during the pandemic, we were the industry most hidden, one of the most hidden. And it was one of the most challenges time in my career. And we had to let go more than 1,000 people around the 11 countries where we operate because the airports were closed, the hotels were closed. And now we've been working tremendously, taking out the opportunity that has been knocking into our door, having the strength to be financially well, to give this a special experience to the traveler wherever we operate. And we've been able to close in December with 2,000 people plus in our company now. So just giving back all these jobs and giving back all this opportunity to our people that were tremendously passionate about our mission, our values, and that they wanted to make a change in the travel industry. It just is my tribe and my team are very happy. We're traveling around. Hope you travel too. And you buy in our stores and in our restaurants because that's a chain and that goes beyond what you can imagine. There's a lot of people that have been through very difficult times and I think that this is what has been meaningful in the last couple of months for me.
I love that, Adriana, when I talked to her about 2 months ago, we had a call, and she told me about all the process that she's been doing, and also how pandemia was affected to her and how she could give a different perspective to the project. It's amazing. And Brit, I don't know if someone has learned Brit. Have you heard about that? Is the chocolates Brit that from Costa Rica with coffee. So they do that. They're the ones, and she's the one that leads that project around the world. So thank you, Adriana, for that, giving us the experiment. And I think one of the most things that you have done is you put the chocolate and the coffee to a great moment. And we need more of that here happening in Guatemala also, because Costa Rica made it very, very good on doing merchandising and doing this type of brands, doing those type of significant brands, because you're doing also great things there. Gracias, Adriana.
Thank you, thank you. It has been 21 years now working there. I started from the bottom as a salesperson, so I've been involved in all of our challenges and all of our development. Now with the more than 200 stores in 11 countries, so yes, it has been amazing. We just want to tell the tourists that visit the country to have the best part of the culture to take back home as gift, and have the most wonderful experience while they're living the country. So that's what we've been doing.
Nice, Adriana. Super. Catherine.
So I'm so happy to be in Guatemala. I always consider it an honor to be invited here. And I don't know what the best of Guatemala is. They have wonderful food, wonderful clothing. It's amazing jewelry that I just purchased.
Wakami one.
It's just such a great place. And when I was mayor of Menlo Park in Silicon Valley, I kept seeing these great ideas and kept thinking, wow, that works really well here. I wish they would scale that to the United States, or I wish they would scale that around the world. And there's an opportunity cost. If you have a great idea and it stays this small, it needs to be greater. And so I decided not to run for election again, and I founded Sapiens Impact, and I call it Spark to Sun. If you have a great idea, we will help you with the funding, with the partners, with the mentors, with what you need to be able to scale something, because if you have that solution, the world needs to be able to share that. That's the only way we're gonna move the needle and really make a difference. And doing all this, I began to see trust and working remotely being an issue. So I kind of lost my mind during the pandemic. I forgot how busy one can be when there's not a pandemic. And I started doing my doctorate at Vanderbilt in trust, which I talked about yesterday. But the one thing that you see that comes up again and again, which is why this panel is so important, a lot of research, whether it's from Harvard Business Review, whether it's Stanford, it shows diversity. The more diversity you get working on a problem, the better the solution that comes out. And that's to do with gender, it's to do with ethnic background, it's to do with your education and your areas of specialty. The more diversity you can get working on something, the better the outcome is going to be. And that's why it's so important. It's not just a nice thing to do, a box to check. It will make a financial difference in your company to bring in different people working on these things.
I love that. Give a great applause also, because it's leveraging the power of women as leaders. That's a great. So one of the things I loved about Kath is, I don't know if you know, but she was the leader of one of the biggest smart cities. You lead the project of Apple when you were leading there. And you've been doing great things also in the public and the private sector. And I love that, because it needs to have also leaders that motivates both sides, because if we want a better society, also we will have to be involved as public leaders. Not has to be like Cat, but it has to be like projects that can also stand up and do things beautiful. So I want to ask you, Laura, what motivates you as leader? Where do you look up for inspiration?
Wow, okay. Well, it's funny because I end up taking a leadership role in many things, but I'm actually my happiest in an expert team. It is the most, just as to build on what Kat was saying about diversity of thought is the superpower. And we somehow understand this about sports, but we have not, it doesn't sink in around business. Your business is, you would never put, the point guard in every position and you just wouldn't. And yet we do that in business. And so I look for inspiration when I can take off my when I have the confidence to take off my leadership hat and am happy to be on the team. Comfortable and confident to take it on and take it off based on what we're doing. If we're charging ahead, I am not the fastest runner. I'm busy back there making plans, right? You don't want me leading the front. So my inspiration is it really is expert teams, and there's a lot of science around expert teams. And it's not just feel-good rhetoric. DARPA and others have really looked into it, and I advise you to look for some of that research. I'm sorry I'm not giving you links to it right now, but I'll follow up. But that's when I'm my happiest and when I'm the most inspired.
Gracias.
Yeah.
Kat?
You inspire me. I mean, there's so many amazing women doing so many different things successfully. I feel like we have to support each other. And I'm so happy that I've got, great friends that I can bounce ideas off of and trust that we support each other. And having that network together is everything.
Yeah, and it's true. Gracias, Kat. It is true, guys. It's amazing when you feel someone and you're there. And you're there for good times, bad times, and everything, but you support the people that you have. Because that makes all the difference for someone that will fall once or twice or third times, but you're there. So I love that, because one of the things that I admire a lot, when Kat came in 2019, she was like, how can I get more involved? And I'm like, you want to be our board of advisors? And she was like, yes, I can do that. And because of her, we have a lot of great speakers coming, even Laura.
Yeah.
And that's part of the community. That's part of the networking. That's part of how we can truly support each other when doing projects. So gracias.
I think it's really important to remember, women in particular kind of fall into the imposter syndrome. Like, who am I to mentor? Somebody asked me to mentor them, and I was like, really? You want me? So I have people that mentor me. I have people that I mentor. It's all kind of a food chain. That's why I say it's more of a network of supporting each other. And don't be afraid to lean in. Every year we've got amazing women graduating from college who have no idea what they're going to do. And being able to just be a sounding board for people makes a lot of difference.
Gracias for that. In constructing there because of the imposter syndrome. As leaders, we deal with true implications personally, like burnouts, insecurities, or imposter syndrome. How have you dealt with these challenges throughout your career, Adriana?
Yes, well, that's a tough question. Definitely.
I know. I know, but it's true to the heart,
Yeah, as women, I think we have a lot of things in our shoulders that society has imposed on us. And there are trade-offs in our lives. Either we're women or men. There are trade-offs everywhere. But we as women have to be confident of the decision that we're making and the trade-off that implies. For me, being here, standing right now, my two kids are sick. Well, they're very young, so they constantly are sick, but they're sick back at home. So there's a trade-off. I'm not there, I'm here, but I'm so happy to be talking with you, experiencing ideas, opening my mind to this amazing time in Guatemala and my fellowships and everyone that's around. That fulfills me. And that leverage a little bit the burnout of being in my office and thinking of the business and thinking where we have to be in 5 years. And yesterday with Pascal, I was like, whoa, the future, I have to think about I was in the night like we have to go beyond all of our ideas, and I have to tell this to my executive team. So you're constantly thinking, and there's a burnout, and there's a guilt, and there's a tiredness, and there's so many things going in your mind. But you just have to be confident that the decision that you're making, the trade-off that you want to do, are the best for you as a person, as a woman, as a leader, as someone that would change your society, your community, because you're giving the example to so many people behind you. So
Qué lindo. Great applause for that. Wow. Gracias, Adriana. Laura?
Okay. Well, I was lucky because early on in and if you see my LinkedIn, you'll laugh. I have done many things. somebody sat me down and told me, shared with me the oxygen mask theory of life. And that is, and it's really served me well. And when they tell you on the airplane, they give you a lot of kind of dumb advice on the airplane. But the one really good one is to make sure the mask is on yourself even before you turn to help your child, because you just increase the odds of you both surviving. And that is a really good metaphor for getting through the peaks and valleys and having a sustainable career. You can strategize about the peaks and valleys of your career, particularly in the startup community. People want to leave their day job too soon before they can afford to instead get 2 more jobs so that you have the money and the buffer to ride out the stress of the bronching, so you can survive that. The other thing that I would share with you is a wonderful book and a concept by a woman named Nilofer Merchant, and the book is called Onlyness. And that has come to me later in my life, but it has helped me refocus when I was getting burnt out, there were too many, burnt out, not because I was working, not because of the traditional startup burn, but because there were too many things that were interesting, too many things I'm like, oh my goodness, I could be of service here and here. What do? I was trying to do everything. No. Onlyness helps you reframe what is special and unique that I bring to this moment and this time. What can only I do? And then do that. And it has been very helpful to go, like Steve Jobs says, it's not the things you choose, it's the things you choose to say no to achieve focus. And so focus helps you not be burnt out, and it's the hardest lesson in life.
That's great. You want to add something, Kat? Yeah.
It's true, right? Yeah.
So if we're talking about cool books, there's another one called Strengths Finder. And particularly women, we tend to worry about I'm not very good in accounting. I need to study more finance. And you tend to focus on the negative, and that does burn you out. You end up cycling in the negative. And Strength Finder says, recognize where your weaknesses are, recognize where your strengths are, and take your strengths and build on your strengths. And that positivity, and you can really, really be able to leverage that further than focusing on the negative. So I also recommend that book as a really good one. And, as a mom of 2 kids, there was a point where I started feeling really guilty because I'm going to city council meetings at night and all these things, and I'm not with my kids. And of course, my husband doesn't feel guilty when he works late, but that's me. But then I love Legos. Okay, so my kids get a lot of Legos. Really, they're for me, but we do the Legos together. And they had a city Legos thing, and you put it together, and it had a town hall and all this stuff. And I was doing it with my daughter. And they had the little guy that looks like the Monopoly guy with the top hat who was mayor, and some other people that would be in the city. And my daughter, I think she was like 6, she grabbed one of the women Lego pieces and said, and here's the mayor, and put it in the seat. And I just thought, that's why, and it's not just my daughter, it's showing women that you can be CEO and you can be mayor and you can work for NASA. You can do amazing things. And it's also modeling to make sure that they know what's there and what's possible. So it's not all about the individual as well.
Wow. Great applause there. Good to that. I have a tough one here. I will throw it. What 3 pieces of advice you will give you to your 20 years younger self? I will start with Kat.
20 years ago, I was living in the Amazon jungle in Peru. I'd say, bring more bug spray. So there are 2 pieces of advice that I came up with when I was traveling with my kids, and the plane would be late or the train was not coming. And my husband would get really stressed out, and everyone would start getting grumpy because you're tired and you're hungry and you don't want to be there. And I used to say, look, be flexible and keep your sense of humor. Like learn to laugh at a situation and learn to, okay, well, that's not going to work. Now how are we going to get there? What are we going to do? And I began to realize it's not just, and it got to be a mantra where every time we would leave the house for a trip, it's like, what are we going to do? We're going to be flexible. We're going to keep our sense of humor. Yeah, and then we make it to the airport and the plane's late. And I began to realize that's actually become my mantra for life. That when I'm having a problem, it's usually I've lost my sense of humor and I need to sit down and laugh at myself a little. Or in some way I'm not being flexible. And that means also looking at different opportunities. Sometimes the worst disaster in the world is the best opportunity you will ever have. You just have to figure out how to embrace that pivot. And so those are my two pieces of advice. Be flexible, and just remember sometimes you just have to laugh.
That's a good one. I love that. Gracias, Kat. Laura.
Okay. So I would say fast hire, fast fire. Get into situations, relationships, jobs, adventures faster, and also know to get out faster, right? Don't waste too much time. Learn what you can learn. Enjoy, the marrow of life. But then move on. Move quickly when your gut tells you it's really time to go. But say yes to more things and get out of more things. That would be my main thing that I would tell myself. I would, I really believe in interdisciplinary training. So whether it's graduate school, whether it's formal or informal, get more training younger in harder things. So I always recommend having some core training in STEM, even if you know that's not where you're going as your main avocation, just having a vocabulary in it earlier in your life opens so many doors that are much more challenging later. So again, you could be a receptionist at a bank. You're going to learn things, and that will give you confidence later. Don't assume that there aren't 20 ways to do it. And nowadays you can get it in other ways. But get trained in harder things, or things that you think are hard for you, hard skills earlier in your life, and don't be afraid of more education. Yeah.
Love that. Love that.
Lovely.
Don't be afraid of more education.
Yeah.
Gracias.
Don't be lazy.
Don't be lazy.
Perezosa. Perezosa. Yeah.
That's a better way to say it.
Yeah.
More directly.
Yeah, for me, I think definitely is have a support group. And a support group, I mean, and friends, family, people that work with you. Have them closely and talk with them and let them be part of you, because you won't be able to do everything and manage everything. So you need support, and that's okay, and that's wonderful, because at the end of the day, those are the people that will help you manage all through these 20 years now or more. And the second advice I would tell myself is when you are, especially in Latin America, I think, when you're growing in your career as a woman in leadership, you have to manage a lot of things, a lot of obstacles as you being young, as you being women. And when I was getting into board of directors, I was the one taking notes, the one taking the coffee, making sure that the flowers, everything, the arrangement, everything was perfect. The scenario was perfect, and I like detail, so I want everything to be perfect. And then I realized that I was another one sitting in a chair taking decisions, and that somebody else should do that, not me. Because if not, the rest of the people that were men will look at me like, Adriana, have you managed the coffee? Have you managed the snacks? Do you know where is? And I said, well, actually, I don't know. And I won't bring my notes. I won't take notes as you. I just sit here. I do my best, and I'll give the best advice and be the best board of director I could be. But I'm stopping to do all this small, and this is in the details that gives you the strength to become more important and to be like the chair that you are supposed to be.
I was going to say, I agree that the perfect is the enemy of good, and learning to delegate is it's a hard lesson to learn. It helps a little bit if you think of it as a gift. When you stop doing those 10 other jobs, you opened up opportunities for people coming along behind you to do those jobs, to learn those skills too, right? You know how to hire them because you know that that's not the right way to do, but you set an example that is really helpful.
Yeah. For sure. And one of the things, jumping on that, I think I love when you open those opportunities for people that doesn't know, because when you were learning and you were 20 years younger, there's a few people that opens those doors and you remember for them for your rest of their lives. So don't stop doing that, because that you can make a difference for that person that you don't even know. I love that 2018 it came one startup, one founder, and tells me, he writes to me to my Facebook and tells me, hey, I want to go and now he raised money. And he tells me, Janma, if you didn't have that moment of that opportunity and give me that entrance to go there and inspire myself and know my next investor and my mentor, I never been here. So you have always to be open to those opportunities for a lot of people. You can change the life of a person. And when you change one life of that person, it exponentially grows. We can be better citizens, we can be better leaders, we can be better everything, you know? So to wrap it up, because we have a little bit of time, I would like to close. Oh, one of the things that I told my younger self is to live in the present. I will wrap it up also, because when we're younger, we want to be older. And when you're older, you're like, why you didn't say this to me a few years ago? So one of the things I want to tell to the younger people that are here, I got 40 on Thursday, and I was like, wow, the fourth stage. And I was like thinking about what am I gonna tell my younger self when I was doing this question. And I was like, live in the present. Live in the present, because you don't know what happens tomorrow. You don't know what happens even today and later. We'll meet someone that really changed your life. So one of the things I will tell my younger self on that position. Bueno, to the last one. What are the best way, one word, as leader can support other leaders? If you will have a word to do that.
Oh, I have a quote though. So Madeline,
You can do. You can have a quote.
I talk too much. I can do it. Madeleine Albright said, "There's a special place in hell for women who don't help other women."
Laura.
I guess I think the most interesting word in the world to me is curiosity. Right? Stay curious. It'll keep your mind fresh. You'll have better ideas. You'll be interested in the talent around you. So curiosity.
Nice. Adriana.
And for me, it will be empathy. I think that's a word that has been resonating in my mind. Empathy, like put yourself in the shoes on the other one, and that will change your perspective of what we're thinking, of the agreement that we're coming up together. Because if you were there, how you would like to be treated, how you would like to be listened or helped. So I think it's empathy.
Wow. So I had a beautiful time, girls, and I will say humbleness. To be humble. That gives us a great, we don't know, there's a lot of things that we need to learn, and you have to have that thrive to learn. And to learn from each other, learn from your family, learn from your boss, your mentor, your friends. You can learn a lot of things about them, what they're having, they're not having, and if you listen that. So be humble on that, because everyone has a path. We have different paths in ways. We be up and high, up and low in times of life. And it's great when you have and you tender that hand for someone else. So be humble to be better leaders. And thank you for this conversation, girls.
Our
A
pleasure.
great applause.
Thank you.